In 8 long years, President Bush not only turned a surplus into a deficit, he simultaneously tanked the entire American economy. Today in our fourth story, President Obama outlined his first budget, phase 1 of a long-term plan to reduce the deficit and restore the economy, one in which, no surprise, he's going to have to spend money to make money, leading the Republicans who spent us into the ground and now no longer have the right to do any spending to complain about big spending. House Republican leader John Boehner, quote, "This president is beginning to make President Bush look like a piker." What did Bush look like before? Senate Budget Committee ranking Republican Judd Gregg, who rejected Obama's offer of the Secretary of Commerce job, calling the budget a half-hearted attempt at deficit reduction, saying, quote, "It raises taxes on all Americans." Geez, too bad there was nobody in the cabinet to say so, Senator. And raising taxes for all Americans? Really?
We'll save billions of dollars by rolling back tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans while giving a middle-class tax cut to 95% of hardworking families.
Well, there's your definition of all Americans, according to Republicans, the top 5%. Obama sent Congress a budget today totaling $4 trillion in spending, a deficit of $1.75 trillion. Why is that so fantastically high? Because this president is not only forswearing past budget tricks that made them look smaller, he's also including 2 things in the budget that Mr. Bush never did.
Large sums have been left off the books, including the true cost of fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that kind of dishonest accounting is not how you run your family budgets at home. It's not how your government should run its budgets either.
Unlike Mr. Bush funding billions in savings by no longer funneling it to big business, ending subsidies to big farm businesses, saving $4 billion by lending to college students directly rather than paying big banks to do that, and reducing Medicare overpayments to insurance companies and hospitals and benefits for wealthy seniors, reducing tax loopholes and benefits for rich people and companies that send American jobs overseas. For some reaction here, let's bring in Robert Reich, Labor Secretary in the Clinton administration, economic advisor to the Obama campaign, and the author of Super Capitalism. Welcome back to the program, sir.
Hi, Keith. How are you?
So here it is. Maybe you can answer that question about how I am by answering this one. First Democratic budget in 9 years. How does it feel and how does it handle out there on the road?
Well, it feels, big relief, actually, because, I don't know anybody who actually reads budgets. I don't know if you do. I don't think I want to meet anybody who actually reads budgets, but budgets as a document, they express the priorities of an administration. And for years we've had a budget that cut taxes on the rich, but not for anybody else, that gave corporate welfare to agribusinesses and to pharmaceutical companies, but actually didn't provide anything by way of health insurance for most people who lacked it, or any relief for anybody else for that matter. And finally, we have a budget that actually, instead of a top-down supply-side economics trickle-down budget, is a bottom-up, grassroots, help the actual public budget for a change.
And other than actually giving the correct figure of how much money we are spending as a nation, what does Obama including the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq in the budget mean?
Well, there is a major truth in budgeting issue here. It is impossible for the public to understand how much we are spending on the military if all that is included in the budget, as it has been for years, is just the cost of maintaining a military, not the cost of actually using the military. So Obama thinks a democracy works better if people know exactly how much we are paying for using a military and not just maintaining it. And so that number is going to be large, and that is responsible.
From your own experience with this and from what you can see from your vantage point now, what is the point of the nature of this Republican opposition to it? I mean, what do they actually hope to accomplish and why by the end of the budget process?
Well, I think 2 things, Keith. First of all, they want to keep their base together. They're going to say tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend, even though, as Howard Feynman pointed out before, the budget during the Bush administration was basically a big spending budget. But they also have their eyes on 2010. They have their eyes on the midterm election. They are taking a huge gamble. It is not a totally unreasonable gamble, unfortunately, that the recession is still going to be with us in 2010, and they are going to be able to say to the public, just as Newt Gingrich did in 1994, when he took on the Clinton administration, they're going to be able to say to the public, look, we said cut taxes for everybody. We said don't spend all of this money. Don't go into debt. We had the better idea, and now try us. So they're hoping to gain seats in 2010 and make that the beginning of maybe a resurgence. Right. It is a big gamble.
All right, but so now the other end of the gamble. Why is the president correct, in your opinion, in going the other way and saying we have to spend money to make money?
Well, because there is a huge gap right now, Keith, between the capacity of the country in terms of a full employment economy to produce goods and services and the amount that consumers and businesses are actually demanding of the economy. And as we learned in the 1930s, painfully, unless government steps in as the purchaser of last resort, then we're not going to get people back to work. We're not going to even be able to grow the economy again. I mean, Roosevelt's big problem until the Second World War was he didn't spend enough. Herbert Hoover wanted to balance the budget. Talk about a stupid idea at that time.
Robert Reich, the former Clinton Labor Secretary, author of Supercapitalism. As always, sir, I end up thinking I know a little something on this topic whenever we talk. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Keith. Bye-bye.